Hello, everybody, and welcome to Live Talks with
Hello.
Knovo. Hi, I'm Jasmine Chu. I'm an advisor to Knovo, and I'm really excited to be here today. Buffet and I are very honored to have a special guest. But before we introduce him, how are you doing, Buffet?
Oh, I'm so excited, to learn from this inspiring man, our coach who's a champion. I'm looking forward to this episode of Nova Talks. And great to finally meet you again, Jasmine. Looking forward to our chat today.
Likewise, likewise. Excellent, excellent. So now we would like to introduce you to someone very inspirational. Coach Ian Chai is an 8-time debate champion and a coach at RedDot Academy. He's continuously on a mission to help others with critical thinking, communication, academic, and research skills, all while helping developing the confidence of his students. So, Mafe, shall we now invite Coach Ian to the show?
Yes, of course. So let's welcome onto the show the amazing Coach Ian from Red Dot Academy. Hello there, Coach. Coach
Hello,
Ian, very
everyone.
happy that you can join us. And we are really excited to have you on the show and learn from you. So let's start off because I'm very curious. Tell us a little bit about yourself so that our viewers can get to know you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ian. I'm from Malaysia. Specifically, I'm from Sarawak. I came to Singapore a couple of years back, and I've been debating and debate coaching ever since. I started debating. How long has it been? 8 years ago. So I've been debating for about a decade now, and I've been debate coaching for about 4 years. 4 years now. I started coaching in Malaysia, but then I continued coaching in Singapore with Red Dot Academy.
Fantastic.
Wow.
So, Ian, what motivated you to start coaching with Red Dot?
Hmm. I I've been coaching before in Malaysian schools, and in Malaysia, I could see the impacts of debating onto students. A lot of the times, educational systems restrict themselves to certain subjects, math, English, science, etc., rather than trying to expand beyond these subjects and teach students about the world around them. Debating forces students almost every week to deal with something new, whether it's the prospect of changing a particular government policy or challenging a preconceived notion that students and members of society might have. When I came to Singapore, I wanted to continue this mission of mine, or this real passion of mine, to continue seeing students through that process of learning more about the world and finding their own voices as well. Red Dot Academy offers debate classes as well as theatre classes and public speaking classes. It really, really pushes forward students, gaining that broader critical lens and critical view of the world, as well as encourages students to speak their mind and find their voices as well. So that's why I coach at RedDot Academy.
Amazing. And like I said offline, I wish I knew you before I joined pageants because it could totally help me. But you're here now, so now you're going to help my children. And of course, about the skills, that you pass on to participants at Red Dot. Can you share about those things?
Absolutely. I think that there are two broad categories of skills that debating teaches students. Firstly, critical thinking. So students, when they encounter new topics in debate, are often surprised. They go, this is such a strange idea, we never considered it. For example, very recently, I gave students the prospect of giving voters a general knowledge test before taking the vote. And they never considered what voting means or what democracy really, really stands for. Similarly, every single debate topic carries with it some interesting idea or interesting argument that students never previously considered. This trains students to think critically about these ideas and expands their horizons to see more about the world around them. That is why I think debating teaches critical thinking, which is, of course, an extremely important 21st century skill. The second broad category of skills that debating teaches is communication. Often debaters will run into this problem of, in preparation time, right, whether that is the 1 hour preparation time or even the week leading to the debate, if it's a prepared motion, of having brilliant ideas that they research or that they find or that they've learned somewhere. They step up onto the podium and then they are unable to deliver it within 7 minutes or 8 minutes, depending on the format. Therefore, debating teaches students to be concise, precise, and communicate their ideas effectively to a judge who is told you must be an average reasonable person, meaning to say, debaters are therefore trained in that skill of public speaking and communication as well. Also, debaters tend to be the people who are already kind of used to giving presentations. And you can see it everywhere. When it comes to, for example, classrooms, if a class has a debater in it, that debater is the one spurring on class discussions, for example. Or if a university group has a debater in that group, that debater is the one who goes, okay, I've got the slides ready, I can present. I'm the reliable one. Or if a debater is going into an interview with a panel of employers or a university interview, they are the ones who have already been under fire, and they are the ones who are therefore used to speaking in public effectively and in a way that hopefully is appealing to anyone to listen to.
Wow, fantastic. Fantastic. And that really resonates with me, Ian. Personally, debate is something very close to my heart. I also enjoyed my time as a school debater many years ago, and I learned a lot of these skills, which I use in my career until today. So it really resonates what you said. And I'd really like to expand on that communication point, because communication is so key in kind of, let's say, the world we have today, right? So can you share with everyone, you've talked a little bit about kind of how a natural debater finds it very easy to present, finds it very easy to put forward his or her opinion. But how does it help young students in developing their day-to-day communication skills, in influencing, in persuading, in kind of just getting consensus and their views through?
Absolutely. So debating forces students into particular positions. And this is a very strange feature of debating that many students encounter. That no matter whether or not you personally believe in something, you are told you must defend it. So for example, even if students truly believe that voters should be held to some form of standard before going to the polls, they still have to argue that anybody should have the right to vote, irregardless of whether they would pass that test. That develops what I personally call intellectual empathy, meaning to say the ability to see the world through another person's eyes who completely disagrees with you. And you are forced, at least for the duration of the debate, for that 1 hour or however much longer, to empathize with the worldview of someone else. That might be a person completely different from you. It might be a person who is very similar to you, but it isn't you. No debater will go through their entire debating career only arguing for positions that they personally believe in. Otherwise, they would believe in every position in the world, right? Therefore, when communicating on a day-to-day basis, it forces students to go, okay, why does that person have that grievance? Why does this person have this concern? And it fast forwards almost that process of getting into petty arguments of, no, I'm right and you're wrong, right? I think that you cannot possibly have anything to contribute towards this discussion, because debaters are almost forced to recognize that every position has arguments that can be forwarded for it, and debating forces them to be generous with the views of others and to effectively and calmly discuss these views in a particular setting.
Wow. I'm just like in awe. And, a part of the communication, I mean, earlier you said communication is key in the world that we have today, but it's also about listening, right? And thinking, critical thinking. So why is it important for young students? And how does debating train critical thinking?
Yes. So the debating trains both listening and critical thinking, right? So let's start with critical thinking. I think that education systems around the world are very strong in developing base skills. We want students who will be very capable of going into particular careers, whether it's a computer science oriented career, a law career, a mathematician, etc. However, there isn't really an education to be a well-rounded human being, or a person who is socially aware, or a person who is aware of social issues. There are some forms of that, for example, the A-levels general paper, but of course it is limited to 2 years and is purely written. However, competitive debate aims to push students to get that particular skill set. How do I mean by this? In a particular debate, you are always going to encounter arguments that you either do not expect or are forced to sort of think up for the other side. You are forced to break down these arguments for their key premises, meaning to say, what are the assumptions the argument makes, what would have to be true in order for that argument to be true, and why might that argument not be true at the end of the day. And it forces students to find real-world examples to support their claims. For example, a recent debate I was placed into was about whether or not the African Union should adopt a common currency. And this debate needed me to have lots of knowledge about common currencies, how they've worked in areas like Europe, for example, in terms of creating international unity, how they might work in Africa today, the developmental status of various states in Africa, etc. None of which is usually covered in many syllabi across the world, but is critical knowledge for being able to be an educated human being about the sort of world we live in. Similarly, ideas like social change or social movements or governmental systems or contemporary social issues that syllabi cannot quite adapt to, but debaters and chief adjudication panels, meaning people who set motions in debate competitions, are always finely tuned into and always try to push debaters to learn about. Therefore, debate teaches students and sort of almost forces students to go out and read the news, because that might be the topic of the next debate. And as a coach, I personally make sure that it is the topic of the next debate that students go through. Therefore, debating teaches students a couple of things. Firstly, the ability to listen critically to arguments that might be made by people around them, by people trying to sell them ideas, which might or might not be good, or might or might not be positive or true. It forces students to generate arguments or to generate persuasive reasons why a particular stance might be positive or negative. And it forces students to learn about the world around them in a dynamic way that school often doesn't cover, but is incredibly incredibly valuable to be a holistic human being and to operate in the 21st century workplace as well.
No, that's fantastic. And I totally agree with you, Ian. I think all those skills are very, very important and excellent to give to our young ones, right? And they can carry it with them for their entire lives. It's really, really valuable. I agree as well. Fantastic. Okay, let's switch gear a little bit and let me ask you, what can people expect from the Red Dot Juniors online debate competition 2021? What exactly is being planned here?
So the RedDot Juniors Online Debating Championship competition is a 3-day tournament. It is a round-robin system tournament, meaning to say every debater who joins the tournament will have the chance to debate for the 5 rounds of the tournament. Each round is about an hour long. So each round will include 4-minute speeches in the World Schools Debating Championship format, which is the most common format for schools debating in the world. It includes a mix of prepared motions and impromptu motions. What I said earlier, therefore, about students going and learning about every topic under the sun and wanting to learn about these things will apply to this tournament. At the same time, the prepared motions allow students the chance to research themselves and to come up with well-crafted cases that can really, really help them win debates as well. At Red Dot Juniors Online, students will learn to debate in the most straightforward way possible. They will debate. They will have the chance to face off against students from all around the country, and the ability to test out the sport if they haven't done it already, or to prove themselves if they've done it before. This competition will include a workshop which will get students who are completely new to the sport up to speed with the format, up to speed with how speeches work, up to speed with how motions work, etc., as well as a workshop. Also, it's a differentiated workshop. While some students will go for one and other students will go for another. The second workshop helps students to improve their already existing skill sets and become even stronger debaters who can take other debaters to task. This workshop is a round-robin system, meaning so it means that teams will be ranked based on how well they've done, and prizes will be given to the top teams as well as the top speakers in the tournament.
Wow. All right, guys, if you're listening in and interested, Coach Ian will let us know how we can join or how you can join and sign up.
Yes. So if you take a look at the poster earlier, there was a QR code that that will actually bring you to the sign up link. You can sign up online on the Knovo website or Knovo platform, or you can go to RedDot Academy's Instagram to find out more. if you have any particular questions about the tournament, you can of course write to us at info@reddot.academy.edu.sg, and we will of course answer your questions and queries as well.
Fantastic.
Amazing.
What about these workshops? They sound really interesting. So what can people expect for these workshops?
So there are several workshops that we have planned because we understand that all debaters come from various different backgrounds. The first workshop I can recommend students go for is the Point of View series workshop. It's happening in October, and it aims to get students who have either had no experience in debating or an intermediate level of experience in debating to improve their skills in the sport. This means we will teach students the basics of the format, right? We will teach students how to craft strong arguments, how to rebut, the things I've been sort of talking about earlier and the benefits of debate. These are the exact things we will be teaching students in these workshops, as well as how debate speeches flow and how you can win debates as a result. In intermediate classes, we will take these existing skill sets and upgrade them by teaching students more advanced methods of debating. For example, in addition to disproving an argument, we can also teach you how to do an even if rebuttal, meaning to say, even if an argument is true, why you should still not support their side in this debate, as an example of a more intermediate debate skill. Beyond that, we also offer debate masterclasses, which are happening in November. These are for debaters who have already joined school teams, joined tournaments, they've already joined our previous camps, or they might have already completed the Point of View series. These classes are aimed at students who really, really want to do very well at this tournament and who want to use debate as a DSA activity, for example, into secondary school to be able to get into their dream schools through this particular activity, which is definitely an option that our students have done and succeeded at before. So through these classes, we aim to ensure that students are ready for the tournament and can gain the critical skills that I've discussed earlier and get a great introduction to a sport that forces students to speak better, think more clearly, and of course, compete and have fun as well.
Fantastic.
So I have a personal question. Are you also having classes for the young at heart? Maybe for ones that want to learn more. But in a serious note, yes, as you can see, guys, on the chat box, we have the information on where you can find Red Dot Junior's online debate competition. The link is there. And maybe, did you want to add anything else, Coach Ian, on where they can find you, perhaps?
You can in order to direct questions to me, the most straightforward way to do so is, of course, to follow RedDot Academy's Instagram. Or you to just look me up on the RedDot Academy's website. All our contact information is there. You can just Google RedDot Academy Singapore, and you will eventually be able to find me very, very easily from that.
No, that's fantastic. So I'm just very curious because, as I said, I did debating, but I did it in secondary school. So, but this one is actually a primary school competition. So, when is the right age to start debating? Is it too young, or do kids of that age find it difficult?
It's a very good question. So I personally don't see it as too young to begin debating. Reason being, every debating has unique things to offer young students as well. At the secondary school stage, students are often quite preoccupied with their academics, or they are already sort of set in their habits and ways, if that makes any sense. However, in the primary school stage, students are still exploring. That is the stage whereby they're deciding whether they will be the loud ones in class, or whether they'll be the vocal ones, or whether they'll be the ones who really, really like to watch the news or read the news, or at the stage whereby they're trying to decide whether they care a lot about the world around them or they don't. As a result, debating at the primary school level really pushes students to look at the world around them very early on and go, okay, these are important social issues around you, right? And this is how you can find your voice. Students often find it difficult to fall in the moderation of two extremes. They either cannot begin talking in front of other people, and I'm sure some parents might be recognizing that here and there, right? Or they cannot stop. Debating, for especially young students, right, pushes you towards the medium of the two extremes. You will speak when it's your turn, and you will speak in a way that's meaningful to you and your team, that contributes to the discussion, that really, really sensitively takes into account what was spoken before you and responds to it in a meaningful way. If you don't do this, you'll lose. That is the simple message that we teach students, right? That there is a time and place to speak, but you do have the right to a voice, and you do have a duty to look at the world around you, right? And to consider these social issues seriously, and to help yourself and your team as well. Therefore, at a very, very young age, debating teaches important soft skills of teamwork, because debate is a team sport, right? There are 3 to 5 members in any sport. It teaches them the ability to speak, especially at the age where they're finding their voice, and it teaches them the ability to go and find information and to read voraciously at a very, very young age. And I'm sure some parents might recognize this in their students, right? Where you sort of see your kid always with a book, always looking up things. Debating pushes students to do that, and to read the news, and to read issues which are relevant to real life as well.
And of course, I have children who are new to debating, and I'm pretty sure some moms out there are super interested, but how can they prepare for the competition? I guess for the parents too. What should we prepare our child once we enroll?
So the most straightforward way to learn how to debate from scratch is a debating class, which is why we are offering the workshops, right? We're offering the Point of View series, which is weekly classes, right? Which aim to teach students on a regular basis, or the debate master classes, which are specialized classes which teach experienced students. If students want to prepare beyond that, right, RedDot Academy also offers custom classes or competition classes as well. Meaning to say, you essentially come to us and tell us, okay, my student is, and this is a patch of inquiries I've sort of had from in the past. My student is in primary 4. She's had experience talking in front of a classroom, but she's very scared speaking her mind in front of friends, and we are really concerned about whether or not she'll be able to express herself. Can you help?
Right.
And RedDot Academy then goes, okay, that's great. That's literally what we do, right? So we then build a class around that student. How exactly will we deal with this student who is quiet? Maybe we'll start off with games, for example, that students might be able to relate to very well, right? We start off with speech games. One speech game I like doing with young students in particular is even if we're an online class, right? Because RedDot Academy does go online in times like these. It's stuff like, find one thing in your bedroom and sell it to us. And kids love doing show and tell.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's fun.
It's a very great one. So you should definitely buy this soft toy, which is worth $1 million to me, because I really love it.
Oh, that is so good.
Yes. And students then get that chance to show off their little things that they're proud of, but it also gets them used to speaking, and used to trying to persuade someone else immediately to do something as well. So this sort of activity, RedDot Academy has a whole bunch of them, because we've done many classes with many students across different ages, right? And therefore, so you can sort of see our students and how active they are in our camps and the classes. RedDot Academy then takes this sort of custom chance to teach students in the custom one-to-one environment. In addition to that, we also offer group classes as well. So if you join RedDot Academy as a group of parents, we can also coach you or train your particular group of students. You could write to us and we'll provide you a quotation on these classes as well. Or you can go to our website and check out all the links there as well. In addition to all of these, another possible way to learn debating is, of course, to watch debates. On YouTube, there are debating videos that you can look at and work through with an experienced debate coach. Debate coaches are the ones who can tell you where a debater has gone wrong, sometimes horribly wrong, and what they're doing right, and what they're doing to really, really persuade a judge, or to help their case, or help advance their case in a particular debate. So that's generally what parents and students can do as well to improve at debating if they're keen to join RedDot Juniors online.
Wow, that's really fantastic. And I'm really, really very, very excited about this. I mean, I think debating teaches everyone so much life lessons. I mean, you've given us so many examples. Can you tell us, Ian, personally, what is the most important life lesson that debating has given you?
I think the most important life lesson that debating has given me it's hard to pick, interestingly. I think that uh, for decision paralysis sake, I'll give two.
Of course.
First, of course, is the idea of empathy, right? Is the idea that everybody has something to say. And it's a very strange experience because one thing debaters are often penalized for is this thing called a lack of engagement. What does that mean? It means that you've been making your arguments, right, without caring about the other side. It's almost as if you are giving a public speaking speech rather than a debate speech.
Right.
And that really, really hurts your chances of winning a debate if you don't engage. But what I realized through debating is that in order to engage, meaning in order to respond to a person's idea, you have to take them very seriously. You have to put down the pen and stop going, I will crush this person at all costs. They are nothing to me. I'll never listen to them, right? And really, really go, okay, what's the most generous possible way of understanding what the person is saying or what the person is thinking? Would a judge believe them? Would an average reasonable person believe them? Might I even be losing this debate? These things that I learned forced me almost to become a more humble person and a more empathetic person. It goes back to what I mentioned earlier, right? The idea of intellectual empathy as well. Because the first step towards really, really pushing someone in the debate or even refuting them in the debate is to understand what they're saying and to listen very, very carefully and with a lot of care and to be as generous as possible towards their ideas as well. And that I think was a very, very valuable lesson that I learned from debating. The second lesson I learned from debating is that the world is much larger than I ever expected it to be, right? That I remember when you are young, you don't quite expect that there are things you do not know. Debate
Right.
forces you to confront the things that you do not know on a weekly basis. I've been thrown into debates back. Oh, this was so long ago. Back when Brexit was a big topic, we got the motion. This house regrets Brexit, and I was going, what is Brexit? And I sort of got this 2-minute explainer from my teammate, of which I must build my entire case, right? Or a while back when Trump retreating from Afghanistan was a big thing, right? Trump retreating from Syria and Afghanistan, and Biden retreating from Afghanistan was a big thing, right? I've had teammates who enter debates looking at me and going, Americans are there? What were they doing there?
Oh dear.
And I go, okay, it's time to give the lesson. And in that 15 minute or half an hour preparation time, depending on the format, or it was 15 minutes at a time, right? I then have to be the one who teaches everything about all of these social issues to that teammate,
Right.
at least well enough that they can get through the debate. And after the debate ends, they go, that's an interesting topic. I should read more about it. And I go, yes, you
Right.
absolutely. So debating almost always in this continual process forces you to look upwards. It always forces you to go, there's something that you don't know. There's something that you will be confronted with that you really had no idea about to begin with, right? And that I think is a really, really valuable experience for students to have. That level of, I want to learn and I have to learn if I'm going to do well in this board. That lifelong lesson really is something that students take away from debating constantly, to the point where if you meet debaters, you can ask them for this thing called a matter file. A matter file is where the debate is like a notebook with every single current event recorded, with possible arguments or possible motions from these current events.
Amazing.
And that habit to me is something really amazing, because it's almost as if debaters make this promise: I will learn about every social issue, right? About every way people are, about every topic that people care about deeply and might want to talk about in a particular debate. And that to me was something that I learned to do as a habit, and something important that I took away from debate as well.
That is amazing. The way that you are able to express your passion and your purpose, and it's from communication skills that you have gained through wanting to be in debates, through being a debater. I love the fact that you shared that story on just educating your fellow debaters, that the world is bigger than us. It's just understanding that there's always something to learn each and every day. And just having you there, Coach Ian, as well as Red Dot, and of course the beautiful, beautiful platform of Knovo, the partnership that you have, I think it's just match made in heaven. You know, it's about being at the right place at the right time with the right people. And your journey has inspired me too, because I know how the youth are, they're sponges, but the way that you teach them or coach them is another level. And I do want to I want to go back to learning more about you. What were the favorite topics that you had to face and debate in, and what were the ones that you were like, oh my gosh, why am I going to have this topic?
Oh,
The ones that were like, I have to do this, but it's a funny
Uh,
one. So
absolutely.
share us those stories. Yes.
I'll start with the most recent one, the African
Yeah.
Union's debate, because it was a very interesting one. I did it in training, right? It was given to me in training rather, and I went, I don't know how currencies work. How do currencies work, guys? Right. What is a check currency? And my teammate who was really into into economics went, okay, so there's this thing called inflation, and there's this thing called a central bank and fiscal policy, and there's this thing, there's this tendency for certain states to not make very good fiscal policies. Do you know what happened in Zimbabwe? And I went, Zimbabwe? I heard they're not doing well, but what happened there? And it was a situation where in the spa, I came out of that debate going, I didn't quite know what I was talking about, but I definitely know more now than I did at the start. Fast forward a week later, we entered a debate tournament, and in round 3, we got the exact same motion on the other side. And we went, nice, I'm an expert in the African Union. Not a complete expert, rather, but someone who knows about it, right? Who is aware of it, and if you were really interested, would know where to start to learn more about these things that you become passionate about as well. So that was a very, very interesting story about debate and how it sort of forced me to think more about the topic myself. Debate recently, another recent story of debating in particular about and how it relates to current issues was a grand finals which I judged a while back. The tournament was East Malaysia Open. It was a tournament that was hosted by East Malaysians, right? So it's a Malaysian tournament with debaters from all around the world. The grand finals included debaters from the Philippines, and debaters from Singapore, and debaters from I'm not sure where that other team was. It was the British parliamentary debate, right? And the motion was about secession. This house believes that Sabah and Sarawak should secede from the rest of Malaysia in order to form an independent state.
Wow.
And I looked at the motion and went, okay, I will be able to debate that because I'm from Sarawak. But I'm curious about all the other teams and whether they know the context behind this. And lo and behold, the answer was it depended on the team. So some teams went, okay, I'll try my best with what I have, right? But other teams went, okay, I know the specific information. For example, the team on the closing government, right? The team on the closing government bench was very knowledgeable about it. They knew exactly the history of Sabah and Sarawak and the different ethnic composition there. They knew about the asymmetry of power in terms of oil resources, whereby Sabah and Sarawak were, as a result of particular federal policies, made to surrender our natural resources, right, and given back a 5% royalty, and as a result, are fairly have a disparity in terms of wealth as compared to other states a lot of the times, right? And that therefore led them towards the win. And as a judge, it was very interesting to sort of see the world around me really being captured by debate. And it was amazing to sort of see this debater from Singapore, by the way, who by right shouldn't have known about our issues, but spoke about it so well that even I learned a thing or two about my own home state, really, and the sort of federal policies that were in place there. That made me go, oh, so that's what debating can really do, right? It gets into a stage whereby a Singaporean, who by right wouldn't have known, somehow knows all about my state history and explains it to me in such a way that made me go, at the end of that speech, as a judge, you're not supposed to do this, but I was going, I want to win. I really want them to win, but I will listen to the other side first and make that decision, right? And often they did win. But that level of, wow. When I speak to non-debaters, And a lot of the time, when I tell them I'm from Sarawak, they go, "Where's Sarawak?"
Oh
um,
no.
and there's that level of care and outward looking interest, right? That debaters do cultivate as a result of the sport, because they knew that a motion like this was likely going to come out at the East Malaysian tournament. So they went and researched about it, right? And every time a new tournament comes up, right, debaters go, okay, what is the current thing in vogue? What would I want to learn? And then they go and learn it. And that continual process of keeping up, of looking outwards, is something that I really, really find interesting, as sort of stories that I can always tell about. Debaters entering debates going, do I know anything about this? I really, really hope I do. Do you know anything about this? And then they end up coming out of that 1 hour, right, learning so much about it that they never did. And that, I think, is a really, really interesting part of debate that does generate a lot of funny and interesting stories as well.
Wow, Ian, we could talk to you all evening, but I just want to ask one
I
more question
know.
before we let you
Yes.
go. Okay, so Ian, can you tell us about your first ever debate and how did that go?
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, my first debate. In Malaysia, we don't have debate as a very common activity, right? Okay. Unfortunately, we don't have primary school debates. So I was only exposed to it when I was 13. And my first debate was what we call a balloon debate. So it's a fun debate activity which some coaches and some debate seniors give their students to sort of get them started onto debating. The activity goes as follows. You are given a role or a person, and you're told to argue for that person not to be thrown off a hot air balloon that's sinking. So I think I was
Wow.
given Sherlock Holmes or something. And I walked up, I said, "Please don't throw me off." And I sat down because I was
Okay.
so scared. I was not a very articulate or a very chatty student. I was not very much of an extrovert, as they say, right, when I was younger. And that was my grand beginnings into the journey of debate. But of course, from that, nowhere to go but up. And I continued because all my friends sort of went, "Yeah, well done, good job. I think you should be thrown off. I really wouldn't throw him off." And so everyone sort of encouraged me, right? And I went, "This is quite nice. I like doing this." And so I continued, and I continued, and the next year I joined the tournament, and I lost, and I continued, and then I eventually started winning tournaments, and that's what sort of brought me here today, right? So that's my first debate, right? From going, oh no, there's so many people. Many of these people are older than me. I don't want to do this, right? Moving then to, okay, this is not bad. To, I like doing this. This is quite fun. So that's generally the journey debating has took me on since that first debate. Yeah.
Fantastic. What a journey, Ian. What a journey.
Yes.
Fantastic. So, Ian, thank you so much for being with us today. Is there anything you'd like to share before you go offline?
Oh, I thank you for having me. This was a fantastic conversation. Um,
Yes.
The
I
pleasure's
do.
ours.
I really do highly recommend everyone sort of watching to consider debate as an activity that might be interesting to your young to your child, or to your student, or to your to whoever your guardian, whoever your guardian, as a result of this conversation as well. To look outwards towards this activity, and of course what Red Dot can do to help you advance your student in the activity, and of course to the event at the end of the year as a chance for them to speak, to find their voice, and to look outwards into the world. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I
Thank you so
agree.
much.
Thank you, Ian.
Thank you
It's a
so much,
pleasure.
Ian. It was really nice having you with us tonight.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Fantastic. That was an amazing talk, Mafe, with Coach Ian.
Yes.
But actually, before we wrap up, we have another treat. We have two student speakers who will be joining us tonight to share their personal experiences in learning debating.
Yes, that's right. Joining us tonight are Wang Yi Ran and Wang Yi Jean. They started training in Red Dot seriously in 2020 and have taken part in 3 open debate competitions.
Yes, exactly. And I heard that in the first year of competitive debating, they became novice semi-finalists in the Asia WSDC Open, an international debating championship with debaters from all around Asia. So, Mafe, shall we bring them on?
Yes, let's all welcome on the show Yiran and Eugene, our amazing students of Red Dot. Hi, ladies.
Hi.
Nice to meet
So
you guys.
we're so glad to have you with us on the show today. Can you share with us some experience learning debating from Red Dot? Can we start with Yuran first?
Yeah, sure, I'll go first. So, as a young child, I was rather shy and I wasn't very outspoken at the time. I was, your normal everyday introverted kid. I would just hole up in my room just reading books.
Mhm.
So, do you guys know what this is?
No, what is it?
Some of you may think it's like, a Bluetooth speaker or a mic or a headphone, but no, it's actually my hearing aids.
Mm.
So I have very mild hearing loss essentially. And that was also probably one of the factors as to why my mom decided to, sign me up for Red Dot's debating courses because she thought it would provide to be more beneficial towards me in the long run. So in the first time, like kids my age, I was very reluctant and hesitant to do so, but she strongly encouraged me to do that. And so I was pressured by her to join, Red Dot's summer camp course. I didn't really like it because for me, all the content they taught there was extremely boring in the eyes of like, a 13 years old. No, sorry, a 14 years old. I was 14 at that time. So of course I didn't want to join again. But surprise, a few months later she was just like, "Oh, Yuran, you should join another course. This time is for the end of the year course." I was really upset at her at that point. Like, but she kept on nagging. We spoke for a while about it. We had discussions about it, and eventually I agreed to join, but only if that was considered my last debate. As you guys probably know, it's clearly not my last debating
Yeah.
course. I will continue. But it was an internal competition also hosted by Red Dot. And in it, I was actually quite surprised to find out that my team won. Like, it was just a small competition. It wasn't anything to be particularly proud of that time, but at that time, I remember being very emotional and very happy. And eventually, I just found out on that day that, just because you're not good at you're not necessarily good at something doesn't mean that you have to dislike it. So after that I realized I actually had an interest in debate. It was just basically that I just thought I had stood no chance because of my slight hearing loss. So after that that's probably the point in which I started to take competitive debating a bit more seriously. And I actually asked my mother to sign me up for more courses afterwards. And
Amazing.
a lot of I'm guessing a lot of parents out there would want to know more of the benefits of debate towards academics, especially. Well, I saw my grades improve significantly from before and after. So before debating, I was an average student, but after debating, amazingly, my grades started like climbing higher and higher, a very significant improvement to 95 was actually my lowest score for last year, and I could even get like 100 marks for my exam, and I was really impressed, honestly. And as my mom once said, for example, if it's a flower is only pretty if it has 5 petals of, equal area. Like it has to be equal. If one petal is too big on that flower, it's not beautiful anymore. So just like debating, I mean through debating, I believe debating isn't a skill in which you just focus on this one thing and suddenly your debating is good, but everything is still bad. No, I think debating is something that other skills also simultaneously also grow and expand as well as debating. Like I got more confidence afterwards. I actually managed to speak out in class, which was something I never dreamed of doing a few years ago. I was able to be more positive generally, like more confident in general. My public speaking skills, critical thinking skills, all of that started to improve significantly afterwards. And I think a lot of people have this common misconception about debating that, oh, it's too complicated. Like maybe a 7-year-old and 8-year-old can't do debating. I don't think that's the case at all because, like I'm guessing there'll be a few Chinese speakers in the audience, so that this 吞语, it's like 一步登天. That's not what debating is all about. Debating is more about, so basically that quote just means, one step you can reach the heavens. I don't believe that's the case at all. Debating is more about the small process and what you learn about the world slowly as you go every single day. It's more about the process than the result generally. Even if I were to be in competitive debating, I believe even if I didn't win, I would still be very, very happy with like the benefits that I had gained. And well, with my hearing loss, with my mild hearing loss, if I can do it, I believe that probably pretty much anyone, or even like an 8-year-old or 9-year-old, will be able to do it even more, and they will definitely improve even more significantly than I did.
Thank you so much for sharing with us, Yiren. Inspirational story.
Yes, definitely. You are a beautiful flower, and I'm a mom, and you have just reassured me that I am going to make the best decision by enrolling my daughter, who is tuned in right now. She is 13. She just turned 13. And when I first asked her, like you, she was like so scared, looking at me like, why? But Coach Ian did mention that it is beneficial for long term, even when you meet new people and apply for jobs, right? The communication skills is something that when you learn during your debate was the confidence. I heard that from one of your pedals, and that to me is key for everyone to just try it. And thank you. Yes, thank you for your story. We have some comments here saying that truly inspiring. So let's hear from Eugene. How about you? How is your experience with RedDot?
Hello. I first got introduced to RedDot by participating in one of those RedDot camps. So, like, along with my sister, I got dragged along with it, and
Yiran has to lower her volume. There.
Yep, apologies for that. So,
That's okay.
along with my sister, I got dragged along with her, and it was around the summer time, so that's when our school had 2 months break. So I absolutely disliked going there. Like, it hurt just trying to click on the Zoom link button, because like it was my holiday, and I was meant to spend it on this summer camp. No, thank you. So unfortunately, I got dragged along. So yeah, but it actually like helped me out. Believe it or not, I speak from experience. So instead of just being holed up in my room, just playing video games or whatever, my mom decided to just drag me along and put me in this summer camp. So the thing is that debating actually is useful to me because because of the fact that when you debate, you need more information to research on what topic that you need to debate on, and that in turn made me learn more about the word, like the word view about it. For example, the George Floyd and Black Lives Matter issue, whether or not the UN should sanction Myanmar. I right now, due to the fact that I debate, I can know more about these topics, and I have a better worldview around them. Unlike when I'm just like playing video games and just doing not much productive things, I actually can learn more about what's actually happening around me, and that like for example, AI, like, are they stealing jobs or not? Like, the fact that I've been learning about all these stuff due to debate makes my work, like, it gives me a better viewpoint of the entire world instead of just being like just not doing anything.
Right.
The thing is that if you think that debate is difficult due to the coronavirus, online debating is actually much more lenient. So online debating, since online debating lets you interact with many other people and have like online competitions, that actually makes my experience much more fruitful, and I actually had much more better interactions. Along with the debate, since debate is open competition and your age does not matter, that means you can probably do it with siblings or friends, and you won't feel that pressured because you have your siblings and friends with you, and your members will be with you too. So like, since debating is kind of like a team sport too, you won't feel that pressured. So my friends like video games, and I won't deny that I like them too. But then the thing is that due to debate, it changed my whole viewpoint about everything. And even if I initially did not like it at first, it definitely does help me at the long term run. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. And of course, now I'm sure that you two speak to each other often than being in separate rooms debating who's the stronger debater. And truly, it was such an inspiring to listen to both of you, because you both shared, and it was an honest conversation or honest opinion that you did not want to do it, and now it's something that is one of your passions. So thank you to you both, ladies, Yiran and Yijin, for joining us. We truly appreciate the beautiful stories and look forward to seeing you accomplish more in your time as debaters and beyond. So we'll stay in touch, because I probably asked for tips from the both of you for my daughter. See you,
Thank
ladies.
you so much, ladies.
So, for everyone who's tuned in, I know you are excited to enroll your children, and please do learn more from this video on how you can learn about Knovo and what Knovo can do to help you sign up for RedDot. So check this out. Education may look different right now, but there is still hope for a better future and a brighter tomorrow. At Knovo, we believe that learning never stops, and we stand strong in our mission to connect instructors and students of all types of learning to make the world a brighter place. So whether you want to pass on your knowledge as an instructor or learn something new as a student, we offer a platform to help you elevate. For more information, visit our website at knovo.io.
Wow. So I think, Buffet, we've come to the end of a very interesting hour. It's been so enjoyable.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for being my co-host today. And thank you to everyone who tuned in and supported us on Facebook and Kumo. So as you saw from the video, Nomo is an online knowledge platform. It provides an array of learning content from K-12, tertiary, professional, and self-development. So really something for everyone here. Do visit us at knovo.io, sign up for free, and start learning with us. Also, follow us on social media. I think it's all streaming at the bottom of the ticker. Stay up to date with us on our latest developments. So thank you, everyone, for spending your evening with us, and see you all soon.
See you.
Bye.